So I call this my universal values. And as you know, the motto for UPF is interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universal values. And lately I've been thinking quite a lot about these universal values. Which are these values actually? Um, Values that can be shared with all humanity and accepted in cultures across the whole world. Do they really exist, or is it impossible to find such mutual or common values? If you Google universal values, there are different answers to these questions. Among all the suggestions that come up are goodness, truth, beauty, freedom, um, civil society, pluralism, security, etc., etc. Anyway, whatever words we use, there is also a need, I think, to go a little bit deeper and explain what those expressions mean to us or to me in the personal life, daily life. When we had this Nordic Rally of Hope last Sunday, we asked Peter Åkerbeck to share his thoughts about this topic. He called it mutual values. So he made a list for himself, which values he took to his heart, and he challenged all of us to do the same. I think the last speaker on the Nordic Rally of Hope was the Norwegian former politician Lars Riise, and he said that the recent migration into Europe had brought a clash of values. At least I think that's what he said. That could possibly mean that it is a big challenge to harmonize values from such different cultures. I would say that at least there are different priorities on values. One example which we have seen in our movement is the meeting between East and West. Then the East put a lot of emphasis on loyalty, as usually expressed by filial piety. I think you heard that sometimes. While the West makes priority to honesty. So then the big question comes, how can we harmonize these two? Anyway, as Peter Åkerbeck suggested, I made my own list of values, which I think are most important to me. I think it's a good beginning, and it's also made me reflect on my own life and what has been guiding me throughout my life. Because my actions are usually a result or a consequence of the values which are closest to my heart. Another question will be, let's see here. Yeah. Another question is, where did I pick up these values? From my parents, from my family, from my friends, from my church, from my school, or from the society and the culture where I grew up? This also is, I think, one can think about this. So anyway, I will share with you 10 values which I wrote down, and I will explain a little bit why I chose these values. And yeah, let's see. Yeah, as I said here, they are a reflection of my life, I would say. So I start with honesty. Yeah, to be honest and transparent. First of all, with God and with myself. Then with other people around me, people I relate to. And I think this is one of the strongest values in Christianity, and it lies deep within me to tell the truth and not to lie. And I think this is, as I said, the Christian culture, and um, when you look at this on a more like international level or global level, there is actually uh, an organization which try to measure this transparency, and it's called Transparency International, and they measure this and have their index. So if we look at this, Transparency International, the scores from their last measuring, or it shows this. So you can see that all the Nordic countries are basically among the top 10 in the world, which it means less corruption, more transparency. So I think this is a very strong value here in our region up here in the north. It is a very strong value. It doesn't mean that we don't have corruption. We all know that exists, but it's probably less than in many other cultures. So I think this point I would definitely, I think it's in me. Next, equal value. So all human beings are God's children, irrespective of race, gender, nationality, status, etc. I remember when I went to Sunday school, we used to sing this song. Jesus älskar alla barnen på vår jord. Röd och vit och gul och svart, gör detsamma har han sagt. Jesus älskar alla barnen på vår jord. Och den där glömmer man inte, för den sjöng man ja, varje söndag i söndagsskolan. Och yeah, we sang it every Sunday in Sunday school. And when you sing it, it's like an affirmation. It stays with you. So I think this became very natural somehow. And I think this is a very good way of helping people to realize these things. Next, trust. Yeah, this is essential in any relationship. If I cannot trust my friends, it is very hard to develop or grow in the relationship. For me personally, sometimes I think I have trusted others too much. But on the other hand, what is the alternative? If you don't have trust, so then you have kind of distrust or skepticism. And I think this makes life miserable. It's very hard to live like that. So I would say this is a very important value. Kindness. I think you can use different words, or probably many people when they speak about values also they speak about love, but love is very general, and it's a little bit abstract in some way. So I think kindness is an expression of love. It means that, for me, it means that I try to be sensitive to the need of others, and that I can forgive others, and that I can apologize when I am wrong. Um, with this attitude, I can avoid conflicts, and I can somehow sustain a harmonious relationship with others, which is important, I think. Service to others. This is also an expression of love. It means basically to go beyond myself and share whatever I have, my talents, my time, my money, and my experience with other people. And we heard many times, Father spoke, live for the sake of others. So it means go beyond myself. And also, I say, if you want to make a marriage work, that's the very best advice, actually. I have to start by giving to make a lasting relationship work. Justice, eller fairness maybe in English. I don't know which word is better in English, but rättvisa på svenska. To be fair, to have equal sharing. And fair play is a term often used in sports, for example. Um, I realize that I become very upset when these rules or values are abused. Life should be fair. You may say it is not, it isn't. Sometimes we feel life is not fair, but I would say as much as possible. Um, yeah, sometimes it can be a challenge, and it's not always easy to live this in the daily situations. For example, as a parent, you love all your children the same, but sometimes you just need to give more love and pay more attention to one of your children because he or she has special needs. That's a reality of life. And from the other children's perspective, at that moment, it can seem unfair, but it's just the expression, like, of the parental heart, to take care of the one who has more needs. And I want to just share some Father's words on this. Father said, "You can easily want to serve good people, but that is not God's philosophy. You are nothing special if you serve only good people. Everyone can do that. God's way is to serve bad people as well as good people. God always pay more attention to the lost sheep, even though there is only one. Therefore, we must go out looking for that one lost sheep." So this is, I think, also an expression of this. um the fairness sometimes is like this, that we cannot give exactly the same to everybody, but according to the situation. Freedom. I want to be free to make my own choices in life, and especially to find my own space. This is also an important part of married life, I would say. I remember when we had a group discussion after a Hondoke service, and several people expressed how important it was for them to have their own space within the married life relationship. As a parent or as a husband and wife, you have to give up a lot of your own time, and your own desires to be able to serve your family. So within that framework, it is important to find some space also for myself. Uh, for example, to have a hobby or to do something which I really enjoy and give me some own space. Yeah. Loyalty. Yeah, I can see a pattern throughout my life that I stay with the same group or circle of friends for a very long time. And of course, marriage and family is an essential part of that. Um, and that has been, like, I think, the pattern of my life. I joined some club, and I stayed with the same club, for example, in sports or other things, and I didn't change. That's kind of part of that loyalty, uh, to do that and to feel, yeah, that I belong there and that I contribute there, and that I somehow have a relationship to that I cannot break. Hope. Well, we have these rallies of hope. I think also hope is a better expression than optimism. Hope has its some expectations and possibilities there. Um, and I can identify with that. And it also reminds me of the late Hans Rosling, the professor who actually showed us how the world is improving. Um, he was sometimes accused of being too optimistic. And I just want to share with you some of the things he said, which I can very well identify with that. And he expresses it very well. This is what Hans Rosling said. People often call me an optimist because I show them the enormous progress they didn't know about. That makes me angry. I am not an optimist. That makes me sound naive. I'm a very serious possibilist. That's something I made up. As a possibilist, I see all this progress, and it fills me with conviction and hope that further progress is possible. It's very well expressed, I think. This is not optimistic. It is having a clear and reasonable idea about how things are. It is having a worldview that is constructive and useful. And I think this is true. It gives us hope, when you see that things are getting better, things are improving, even though it's not yet perfect, even there are many things to improve, but it is getting better. And this can give us hope, especially in times as these which we are living now. And finally, I wrote down joy. Isn't that what we are looking for? Somehow it defines the purpose of our existence. Life without joy, this is not a real life. And I think Tim has uh, been on that topic many Sundays now with the Book of Joy by Desmond Tutu and Dalai Lama. So, for me, how do I experience joy? Well, I think for me it is in relating with other people. Actually, much more so than in relationship with nature, for example. I think other people gives me much more joy, and I can share more deeply, and so on. Also, I experience joy and excitement with sports. It became a big part of my life already as a child, and it has stayed with me until today. There are certain values within sports that are very attractive, such as fair play, team building, inclusion, discipline, persevering, perseverance, and respect. Um, so that there are many things like this, that can give joy and yeah, inspiration and enthusiasm. So these are like, probably if you will make your own list, it would look different. However, um, we need all this we need these values um, for our lives. And I will just conclude by saying and emphasizing that these values also have a very clear purpose. They support our spiritual growth. Yeah, we need to grow spiritually, and with these values it helps us actually to go in the right direction. So we can also, we need to find the energy, or the positive energy that can make us grow. Actually, we can grow towards heaven. Our life on earth is for each one of us to grow and mature. So we can say that this spiritual growth is a work ongoing and yet unfinished. And it's the same for young and old. If you are 10 or 15 or 20, or if you are 70, doesn't matter really. This is a work which is ongoing. And I would say that these values uh, can help us very much to go in the right direction. Yeah, this was like my thoughts about this topic. And I think it's very good that we continue to think about this and see how much we can identify such values which are valid for everyone. Thank you very much.